Chapter 16. Through the Mines. The twins didn't speak for the rest of the trip into the dwarf forest. They couldn't. There was too much to say and not enough words to express what they were feeling. The driver dropped them off a mile or so away from the mines, and the twins walked in silence the rest of the way. They weren't even alarmed or threatened by the forest around them. Their minds were so full there was no room to become nervous or timid by the thick and chilling trees around them. Their minds are just past this hill, Alex said, looking at the map. At least now they were speaking, not just about the subject they needed to address. The twins reached the top of the hill, and on the other side below were several tunnels leading into the side of a mountain. There were much different from the tunnels they had seen in the troll and goblin territory. They were perfectly rounded and sturdy. Dozens of dwarves were working in them, transporting wagons and jewels and rocks from one tunnel into the next. A loud bell rang from somewhere inside the mines, and a dozen more dwarves emerged carrying their lanterns and picks with them. It was the end of the day, and they all headed home in single file lines in different parts of the forest. The twins went until on the hill for a few more moments before going into the mines, making sure no one was lingering behind. They went through the largest of the tunnels and found a row of lanterns hung low on the dirt wall just inside. They each took a lantern and walked deeper into the mountainside. The mines were huge. The shovels were lined up against the walls, and the floors was covered with tracks for the dwarfs' mining crafts, and stretched into the mountain for miles. The twins kept walking and walking with their lanterns raised above them, being on careful lookout for anything that might resemble a glass coffin. Are we going to talk about this? Alex asked her brother as they searched. Talk about the mines? He asked. No, you know what I mean, Alex said. I don't want to talk about anything about finding the coffin, Connor said. Connor, ignoring the situation isn't going to help anything, Alex said. Ignoring what situation? He said, not looking her in the eye. We saw the curvy tree. It was just another story Dad heard and told us when we were younger. Don't make this a bigger deal than it is. It's not what this is, and you know it, Alex said, raising her voice. Alex, stop, Connor said. Stop denying it, she said. Alex, don't, he said. You've known since the minute we got here. You felt it too, Alex said. I know you did. You may be able to lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. I'm not lying. You're making things up in your head that you want to be true, Connor said, trying to hide the tears forming in his eyes. All my life, I felt like I was missing out on something. Like somewhere in the world, there was something going on that I was supposed to be a part of. And now we found it. It's this place. Part of us belongs here, she said, with tears streaming down her face. You can't prove it, Connor said. Connor, face it, Alex yelled. Dad is from here. He is from the land of stories. Then why didn't he tell us? Connor shouted as echoed through the mines. Why did he keep it from us? He sat on the ground and quietly sobbed into his hands. Alex sat on the ground next to her brother and cried with him. There was so much to take on, so much to digest. Maybe he felt he couldn't, Alex said. He always said he would take us into the places where we grew up when we were older. We were still pretty young. Maybe he thought he would tell us when he thought we were old enough to understand. I think. Hi, kids. Did I ever tell you I'm from another dimension? It's pretty shocking no matter what age you are, Connor said. It's such a heavy thing to confess, Alex said. He must have been waiting for the right moment. Unfortunately, the right moment didn't come until it was too late. So does that mean Grandma's from here too, Connor asked. I'm guessing so, Alex said. Then how do they get to our world? There must be more than one way besides the wishing spell, Connor said. There must be, Alex said, but the wishing spell is all we got so far. So we need to keep looking for the glass coffin if we want to see Mom again. The twins dried their tears and continued searching through the mines. You don't think Mom is from here too, do you? Connor asked. I doubt, Alex said. She has photo albums of her childhood. Dad only had stories. Do you think she knows? Connor asked. She has to, Alex said. How could she not? They were married for more than a decade. Then maybe she knows where we are, Connor suggested. Maybe she isn't as worried as we thought. The twins spent another hour just walking through the mines. Connor had seen so many tunnels that he felt like his mind was starting to play tricks on him. He could have sworn he kept seeing things running around the shadows. Did you see that? Connor asked, paranoid. You're just seeing shadows, Alex said. Oh, Connor said. I could have sworn it was. Never mind. The twins found a long miniature table with a few dozen miniature chairs around it. It looked like an area where the dwarves took breaks from working. A large portrait of Snow White hung on the dirt wall behind it, and a glass coffin with rubies and diamonds sat against the wall underneath it. Bingo, Connor said. He used a pick that had been left on the table to pry a few of the jewels loose from the coffin and place them in Alex's bag. He could see where a few had already been taken by others before him. That was easy, Connor said. As soon as he turned around and faced his sister, he wished he hadn't just said that. Connor? Alex said, looking at her brother, who was completely petrified. Through the dim flames of their lanterns, the twins saw a dozen humongous black wolves circling them. They were surrounded by the big bad wolf pack. The wolves growled at the twins and gritted their teeth. Stay back, Connor said, and swung the pick at them. This didn't affect them at all. A few of them snickered. Are these them? One wolf said. Yes, another wolf said. We've been tracking their scents for days. Hello, children, said Melancholy, creeping toward them. I would say, nice to meet you, but I can tell from your smell that we have crossed paths before. Please don't hurt us, Alex said. She was shaking with fear and clutching to Connor. Can we eat their limbs at least? Another wolf said. She doesn't need their limbs, does she? She? Alex said. Who is she? We agreed we would bring them back to her unharmed, Melancholy said, regretfully, looking toward the twins. You're coming with us. Connor, Alex whispered at her brother. What are you going to do? I got an idea, Connor said. He placed his lantern on the ground and took a step closer to Melancholy. Bad dog! Very bad dog! Sit! The wolves and Alex had the same exact expression on their faces. What was he doing? I said sit! That's a very bad dog. Go to your basket! Continued Connor, shaking his index finger at Melancholy. Whatever he thought it was doing was failing miserably, and it was just insulting the wolves. I changed my mind, Melancholy told his pack. You can eat their limbs. Well, I'm out of ideas, Connor said, looking back at his sister. I'm not, Alex said. One quick move, Alex kicked the lantern Connor had placed on the ground, and it soared across the tunnel and crashed into one of the wolves, setting him partially ablaze. The wolves rushed to help extinguish their friend. Alex grabbed Connor's hand, and they ran farther down the tunnel, going deeper into the mines. After them, Melancholy demanded, and the remaining members of the pack chased after them. The twins ran as fast as they could. They only had one lantern left, so they were practically in the dark. They could hear the wolves stampeding behind them. Their howls were unbearably loud as they echoed down the tunnel. The tunnel began to descend, making it nearly impossible for the twins to run. Jump in here, Connor said, pointing to the minecart on the track. No way, Alex said, but Connor picked her up and plopped her inside. He jumped inside himself and pulled the brake lever, and the cart began traveling down the tunnel at a rapid speed. A few wolves wagged at them with their claws. The twins ducked as far as they could in the cart, but not before one of them reached Connor and left a bloody scratch on his forearm. Alex kicked another right in the snout, and it whimpered away. Another wolf barely missed the twins with his claw, but knocked the brake lever right off the cart. The cart gained speed, and soon they were outrunning the wolves. We're doing it! We're getting away, said Connor, holding his hands over his wounded arm. I wouldn't celebrate just yet if I were you, Alex said. She pointed at a sign that said, Danger, use brake lever, we're going down tunnel. That's not good, Connor yelled, wishing for the lever to somehow grow back in the cart. The cart began speeding faster down the tunnel as it descended at a steeper angle. They were going so fast, too fast. They could barely open their eyes with air rushing by their faces. A track turned and dipped deeper into the mountain. The twins were afraid they were going to fly out of the cart if it didn't fly off the track first. It was the scariest roller coaster they had ever been on. This would be awesome if it weren't for the fear of death, Connor shouted. He was even tempted to put his hands up, but he knew it wasn't an appropriate time. The cart zoomed through the mines, showing no signs of slowing down. In a matter of seconds, the twins' greatest fear had gone from being eaten alive by wolves to crashing into a dwarf mine. The track led them through a giant cave with stalactites pointing toward stalagmites and a large pool of water at the very bottom. To the twins' horror, they passed another shed, which said "Dead End." It appeared an avalanche of rocks had fallen on the track many years before, and now the twins were speeding toward the solid wall of rock that had formed there. The twins ducked as low as they could in the minecart, bracing themselves for the traumatic injuries they were about to receive. The cart slammed against the rock. It violently rattled it as it broke through the wall. A few rocks fell into the cart and onto the twins. Alex screamed, and Connor covered his head as much as possible with his arm. Just when they thought they were surely about to die, the cart slowly came to a stop. The twins peeked from the inside the cart. They were outside, somewhere in the dwarf forest on the other side of the mountains. "I cannot believe we just survived that," Connor said. They were pretty banged up, but they climbed out of the cart, not seriously injured for the most part. They didn't waste a minute questioning their luck. The twins ran from the cart into the trees. "We've got to get out of here," Alex said. "It won't be long before the wolves find us again." "Who are they talking about? Who are they going to bring us to?" Connor asked. "I'm afraid to even say." "Ah!" Alex screamed. They hadn't been in the forest for even a minute when they both felt brutal blows in the back of their heads. They fell to the ground, slowly losing consciousness. Right before they passed out completely, the twins saw the faces of Bubblewort the troll and Acorn the goblin looking down at him, each holding a club in his hand. The twins woke up with splitting headaches. They were bound together with rope in the back of the very familiar cart. "Hey, Acorn, look who's waking up," Bubblewort said. "The little thieves have arisen," Acorn said. The goblin and troll were driving the same exact cart, but it was being pulled by a different donkey. The previous one had most likely been used to death. They kept Alex's bag between them as they traveled down the road. Alex and Connor fought against the ropes, but they were tied with trouble knots around their hands and feet. "Where are we?" Connor asked. Alex straightened her neck, looking up at the cart, but managed to recognize some familiar trees. "We're back where they caught us for the first time," Alex said. "We must have been knocked out for an entire day." "Would you like us to make it 2 days?" said Acorn, raising his club. "This can't be happening again," Connor said. "You can't enslave us again. We told the fairies about you." "Oh yes, we know," Bubblewort said. "They came and gave us a very long lecture about it," Acorn said. "And they shut off all the tunnels thanks to you," Bubblewort said angrily. "Now we have to take the long way into our territory." "Then let us go," Connor said. "Not this time," Acorn said. "You stole our king's crown while in our kingdom. According to the happily ever assembly rules, we have every right to bring you back to our kingdom and charge you for your crime." "It's going to be one heck of a trial," Bubblewort said. "Every troll and goblin will be there. And we've already scheduled you for beatings after the trial is over. Everyone in the territory will get a turn," Acorn said. And he and the troll howled with laughter. Connor stayed calm about the matter. He raised his tied hands over the side of the cart. The scratch on his arm was still healing, and he stretched so as a few drops of his blood fell from the wound and into the ground as they traveled. "What are you doing?" Alex asked him. "I'm leaving a trail," Connor said. She didn't know what to think of this, but she trusted him. Whatever he was doing, he had a plan. After a few hours, the twins had managed to shift themselves into a seated position. The troll and goblin continued entertaining himself by predicting the horrible things the twins would go through once they got back to the troll and goblin territory. Connor began seeing dark features running between the trees in the distance, like he had seen in the cave. "Get ready," Connor said. "They're here." Alex mentally prepared herself for whatever was about to happen. "That was faster than I expected," she said. A small howl came from the trees. Acorn and Bubblewort pulled on their donkey's reins and ordered it to stop. The cart came to a halt. "Did you hear that?" Acorn said. "Yeah, I did," Bubblewort said. They both pulled out their clubs and hopped into the cart, circling in it for a moment. "Over there," Bubblewort said. "I see something." The troll and the goblin took off into the trees. "Help me get my bag," Alex said to her brother. They began inching toward the front of the cart. Alex grabbed hold of her school bag with her teeth and dragged her to the back with them. It lay right by her tight hands, and she managed to open it and pull out Cinderella's glass slipper, almost spraining her wrist in the process. "What are you doing?" Connor asked her. "Something that's going to hurt my soul and make me hate myself for the rest of my life," Alex said. She forcefully hit the slipper against the wood floor of the cart and broke into 3 pieces. She used one of the shards to cut her and her brother loose. "Whoa," Connor said. "Never in a million years did I think you would do that. That was pretty gangster." "We can glue the back together, right?" she said, trying to frantically put the glass slipper back together like a puzzle. "It'll still work for the wishing spell, won't it?" Connor said. "The spell never said it had to be in one piece," Alex said. They put the pieces of the slipper into Alex's bag and jumped out of the cart. They ran to the forest in a different direction than the troll and goblin had gone. A few moments later, they heard spine-chilling screams and howls as the troll and goblin were attacked by the big bad wolf pack. The horrible sounds made the twins run faster. They knew it would be only a matter of seconds before the wolves picked up on their scents and would be right behind them. They didn't even know where they were going. They just knew they had to get somewhere safe as fast as possible. Alex was eyeing the forest around them. There was a deep roar coming from close by. Could they be near the ocean? "We're farther south than I thought," Alex said. "I think we may be back in the fairy kingdom." "Then let's find a fairy who can turn these wolves into chihuahuas," Connor said. He turned back, and in the distance behind him he could see several wolves running toward them at full speed. A moment later the twins saw the wolves run slightly ahead of them and to both their right and their left, gaining ground and preparing for the attack. The twins ran through a set of thick trees and then came to a sudden and jarring stop. They were staying on the edge of a very high cliff overlooking the ocean. "How do we get to the ocean so fast?" Connor yelled. "Look," Alex said, "it's Mermaid Bay. We're somewhere between the fairy kingdom and the sleeping kingdom." Connor looked behind them. The wolves were only a few feet away from pouncing on them. "No, it looks like we're somewhere between death and dying," Connor said. "Alex, I'm really sorry about this." "Sorry about what?" Alex screamed. Connor pushed her sister and himself from the cliff seconds before they would have been tackled by the wolves. They were falling so fast they couldn't breathe or hear each other's screams. All they could hear was air rushing past them. The twins plummeted into the ocean. The wolves stayed on top of the cliff for a few minutes, waiting for them to surface in the water. But they saw nothing. The twins were gone. Alright, that's the end of chapter 16. I hope you enjoy the read-along. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to read more of the Land of Stories or hear more books to come. Also comment me any recommendations you want me to read someday, and hope you enjoyed the reading.